So I'm Vicky and I work for SixStarCruises and I've been here for 2.5 years. I went to Antarctica with HX Expeditions. The ship's really modern, so I was on MS Roald Amundsen, and I think that it's only a couple of years old, and you can really feel that when you're on the ship. It's very modern, and there's a lot of like floor-to-ceiling windows as well. Like, it's really nice. Like, the decor's really nice. It's kind of like got a bit of a Scandinavian feel to it as well, because they're a Norwegian cruise line, and you really feel that, but it's like with a modern twist.
So it's like open.
Super open. Yeah, everywhere on the ship feels really spacious, and yeah, it's just a really nice ship to be. It felt very homey as soon as you stepped on board.
Was there anything that you didn't expect when you boarded?
I think, so for me, I've only ever been on a river cruise before this, and never been on an ocean cruise. So I think for me, I was coming in with kind of no expectations, but I think my like kind of the stereotype that I've had of going onto a cruise is sometimes it might feel a bit cramped or lots of people, but I think I was really surprised by how open it felt, and it didn't feel really, you didn't really have to queue for anything, and it was a really nice amount of people where there were still people there around when you were walking around the ship, but it never felt too crowded. You always could get a seat in the lounge or at the bar, which was great.
What was your cabin and what was it like?
So I had I think it's called a polar cabin, and so there are some with balconies, but I didn't have the balcony, but it was a really nice big window, so it never felt like I was kind of like, and I don't think they had any inside cabins on that ship, and so it was really nice to be able to see the wildlife. You could still see the whales like out in the water through the window when you were there, and it felt really nice and cozy. Like, they had a really nice like blanket, which I don't know why I remember that, but the blanket was just really nice there, and they've got a chair right by the window as well, so in the morning, I'd have like my cup of tea and sit in the chair and just look out the window and look at the wildlife and the icebergs. And yeah, it was just magical. And it was actually really nice and spacious. So yeah.
Was the window the best feature of the room, or was it something else?
Yeah, I'd definitely say the window, just because it's an expedition. Like, I think by default, obviously being able to wake up every morning, because we would travel during the night. So I'd wake up in the morning and I'd have the curtains shut because it was so light out there. So I'd wake up every day, pull my curtains open. It was a completely brand new view, and it was honestly just breathtaking every morning. So yeah, definitely my favorite.
What was the best view that you had?
Nico Harbour. It has to be Nico Harbour. We woke up and honestly, it was just a pristine day. It was like blue skies. There was just icebergs everywhere, and the water was so calm, and it was just perfect.
How many restaurants were on board?
So there's 3 restaurants on board. You've got 1 premium dining option, and then there's another 2. So Lindstrom's the premium dining option, and then you've got another 2, which one's like a little like your basic go-to restaurant, and I can do like a la carte. But then the other one's a little bit more of like a daytime kind of just like a buffet style. Like, you can just kind of go up and just like have food whenever. But yeah, the dining is really great there. It feels casual, which is really nice for what you want for an expedition. But it also, like, the service is absolutely incredible, and obviously if you want that more premium option, you can go to Lindstrom, and some of my friends went there and they said it was really nice.
Was there anything that you'd go back just to eat again?
The steak was amazing. I was such a steak girl, but yeah, the steak was absolutely phenomenal, and they did it really well, so yeah.
What was there to do during the day?
So obviously, with it being an expedition, there's a lot of activities going on, and a lot of them are happening simultaneously as well. So you'd always get out off the ship at least once a day, sometimes twice. So you'd have Zodiac excursions, which are kind of like inflatable kind of like boats that they can then use to get to land, and you can also cruise around the waters on them. Then you've got kayaking as well. Then they do hikes as well. So, and a lot of the times these were happening at the same time. So if you weren't doing this, you weren't kayaking, you were doing something else. So it always just kept you really busy. So there was lots to do. But then even when you were on board and it wasn't your group, because we got put into groups, and then we would be called, I guess, over the tannoy to go for our excursion. But when you're on board, there's so much to do, because they've got the science centre, and even in the lounge, a lot of the time I just sit with my friends in the lounge, and because of the floor-to-ceiling windows, you can see the kayaks and the Zodiacs and the animals in the water, and you can see the penguins. So even when you're on board, there's so much to do and there's so much to see, which is great.
And did you try a polar plunge?
Yes, I did. I did it twice, actually. So I was like, me and 5 of my friends out of the whole ship, we decided to do it twice. I absolutely loved it. I did it the first time and it felt so great, but I was only in for about 30 seconds and then I really wanted to do it again because I was like, it's the best way to immerse yourself in the destination. So we did it again and I managed to last 3.5 minutes, which I was very proud of. But it was amazing because the water was so calm because they have to choose somewhere where it's not very windy. And there was just glaciers like everywhere. And it was just one of those moments where you're like, pinch me. It was amazing.
Is it true that when you get out the water, there's either a doctor or a shot of tequila?
Oh yeah. There's well, you obviously, because it is all inclusive, so you can have as many drinks. I had a brandy before and a brandy afterwards, which was great. But they've always got a doctor on board, like right there. There's so many crew members there. You're attached onto your life jacket anyway, so it's completely safe. If anything happens, you're in safe hands. So it's great.
Love it. What are the evenings like?
The evenings were really relaxed. So I think on a typical cruise, there's a lot of entertainment, but obviously we're up at 5:30, 6, sometimes 6:30 in the morning every single day. So the evenings are quite relaxed because everyone kind of heads to bed in sort of quite early, but there's still like entertainment and you've got a pianist there every single night and she's like playing music, which is really nice. Then there's one night where we had an auction and it was to raise money for the charity. So that was really cool. So they were auctioning off like certain things from the expedition. And then there was another night where we had some like local music, like Andean music, and because a lot of the members and the crew members, they're from all over the world, but particularly South America. And so they would play like local music. And then there was one night where the crew formed a band and they were playing loads of classics from the 80s and 90s, which was great. So there's lots of things to do if you want to do it, but they're also quite nice and relaxed as well, where you can just have a chat with your friends and new people and make friends and talk about your days and what you saw and what you got up to. I found that was quite a common theme for the trip, is that we'd always sort of reunite in the evenings and talk about our day, which was nice.
What was your favourite stop and why?
Nico Harbour was definitely my favourite stop, just because it was just so gorgeous, and I think that you could just see for literally miles, and we were the only ship there and it just felt really secluded. And we were able to kayak that day, which was really fun as well. And there were so many whales in the water that were literally meters away from us in the kayak. So you'd look off, in the distance and see these glaciers, but then there's a humpback whale like a couple of meters in front of you. So it was like wherever you looked, and then you've got a colony of penguins on the shore. And so it just felt like you were completely encompassed in the area. And because it's a harbour, it really feels nice and secluded. And it was just like we were at the end of the world. It was amazing.
What did a typical day look like for you?
So early mornings, always early mornings. You just do not want to be lying in when you're on an expedition, especially in Antarctica. So we'd be up early, grab some breakfast, and then we were normally out getting on the Zodiacs at like 8 or 9 a.m. And then if you weren't doing that, you would be in the science centre and you could be around with some of the crew members, and there's constantly lectures going on throughout the day. So you're either in lectures or you're on the Zodiacs, you're on shore, you're in the kayaks. So there's a lot going on, and each day I think that's what's beautiful about an expedition, is that every day is different. So there is no typical day on an expedition. It's always going to be different. You never know what to expect. You could just be relaxing, having a drink, and then suddenly they would make an announcement that there's a pod of 7 whales like right in the water, and then everyone runs out onto deck with their binoculars. So you just don't know what to expect, and I think that's really great.
You mentioned the service, but how was the service on board?
Service was absolutely phenomenal, genuinely. I was really amazed by how great it really was. Everyone was so friendly. All of like the people like know your name pretty much instantly when you're on board. So the people that were cleaning my room and the waiters, and they're all just so friendly. And yeah, they're very intuitive as well. Like they're always sort of concerned with what your personal needs are. So if you're happy just to be sort of left alone, that's okay, but they're always just on hand if ever you need anything.
Any moments you remember where staff went above and beyond?
So there was one night, I am not the most organised person, so I turned up after the restaurant had already closed one night, and I was really hungry because I'd had a long day, obviously, being out, because one of our excursions had overrun, and we got back, and by the time we were ready to go, I'd missed the restaurant. So the waiter went in and spoke to the chef, and they actually cooked a meal fresh for me, even though the restaurant had closed. And then I got to take it up with me into the bar and sat in the bar and had my roast dinner, which was lovely. I think that there's this stereotype of people going on expeditions is it has to be this really young crowd. There honestly, especially with HX specifically, there are so many different kinds of people there. They had mixers for solo travelers, which was really great. And I was a solo traveler, so that was really lovely. I saw people that were sort of in their 20s and 30s, which loved it. But then there was loads of people that were in their 70s and even in their 80s on there. So I'd say solo travelers, like families, kids were on board, so you can bring your kids. But it's also a great opportunity if you want to do a honeymoon with your partner. Some of my friends were on their honeymoon there, so I genuinely do think that it really is for everyone. It's not something where you feel like you're excluded because you're not part of like a certain group or something. It all just is kind of one big family when you're on board. So most things are included with HX, which is nice because you kind of don't want to be worrying about bringing out your wallet, and especially like when you're in that experience. I'd say the only thing that wasn't included was the kayaking. So if you want to do that as an optional excursion, you can pay extra for that. It's well worth it. I'd recommend it to everyone. Like genuinely, you're only going to probably be in Antarctica once. And even if you're not in Antarctica or any expeditions with them, like I think you just have to make the most of the experience while you're there. So I definitely recommend that. But every other excursion is included, which is great. There's just a couple, like camping as well. If you want to do camping, you pay extra for that. But your baseline level of like excursions and experiences, you can have a full experience and not have to pay for anything. All of the food, all of the drinks are included. If you want to pay for premium beverages, you can. I didn't. I thought that the beverages that they had were absolutely great. I didn't feel like there was a need to be paying extra, but you can if you want. So for me, I didn't pay for, other than kayaking, I didn't pay for a single thing while I was on board. So it was nice to kind of feel like the holiday was free, even though it wasn't. Best moment of the trip, hands down, was seeing the whales on the last day. So we saw whales quite a lot of days, like throughout, pretty much every day. But the last day, there were so many, you just couldn't even count. So we were on a Zodiac excursion. We were about 5 minutes from it being the end, and we were meant to be heading back to the ship. But then suddenly this massive pod of whales arrived, and then another pod arrived, and there was just, wherever you looked, there were just whales in the water. Everyone was just completely stunned. It was so magical. It was one of those moments where I couldn't even take videos because I was so in the moment. It was just such a beautiful experience. We were all just so amazed. Our breath was taken. People were crying. Like, it was a really emotional moment. And that's definitely a moment that will just stay with me forever. So yeah, it has to be the best moment.